So you're ready to start building thinking classrooms. You want to make sure your kids can be as focused as possible. I've got a couple of suggestions. Hopefully you'll find helpful. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Aaron Hayes. I teach here at West Chicago Community High School. We've been doing building thinking classrooms for the last 3 years or so, and I've been using the non-permanent vertical services for probably about close to the last 10. And I wanted to go through a couple of things that are not deal breakers. If you don't have these, it's not a big deal. However, I think you'll find helpful. In terms of separating your groups, I found that if I didn't do this, if I didn't have clearly defined spaces, sometimes the groups would drift or get too large and stuff. And there, you can draw lines down the middle, with various markers. Painter's tape I have found useful for like marking spots on the floor of my AP Stats class. But in terms of just breaking things up, just putting a simple line down the middle like this, and then writing group 1, group 2, or whatever is extremely helpful. So hopefully you might find that helpful. And it's relative. You can buy this at Amazon. You can buy it at Ace Hardware, wherever you go. In terms of helping keep kids focused, I found, and I've seen my colleagues do this as well, the more you can keep the kids on the board without having to worry about where's this, how do I do this, et cetera, will hopefully keep kids focused on the math and not worrying about the hows and the whys. A couple things for that. In terms of erasers, the erasers can be expensive. There's all sorts of different options. You can buy one, sometimes they wear out. One of my colleagues, and I've taken these all from different classes, so I still need to come up with my own of these. They take these, the really high, kind of nice textured ones, magnet, throw it on the board. Kids can grab it, put it back. They can take them off and wash them at home. Another one of my colleagues ended up gluing magnets on the back of these. That was also helpful. You can get the little tiny magnets like this. Kate ended up putting numbers on back there so that make sure they don't wander from group to group. You can buy like the other ones like this. Obviously, I've lost that one, or it's somewhere in here, but you get the idea. The other thing which I like, is these, the little caddies. And that way everybody's got 3 colors, but then that way it's also easy to find. They're not looking down on the tray about who has what where. And so that I know Lynn has found very, very useful. What else? The other thing that we tend to get some questions on, how do we deal with graphing? And if you watch some of the other videos, particularly the one we did at the West Suburban Math Conference, I believe we mentioned this. You can buy big magnetic graphs. We have sets where you get 4 big quadrants, and they're great. They're a little hard to keep clean. You can just do something as simple as this. Just use some sheet protectors. You can get like 100 for $10 on Amazon or other places. And you just print out whatever you need and stick it in there. And then with your favorite magnet of choice, you can stick it up there. And then the kids can graph on it. These markers tend to be a little bit big. If you buy the fine line expos, you can usually do okay. But then they can draw on it. They erase fairly well. And then you can go from there. And it's relatively cheap and inexpensive. Sometimes if it's not, so especially for like systems of equations, graphing lines, you do need to give them a set of coordinates. Otherwise, sometimes I know just kind of, if I'm trying to do a rough idea of a parabola or something, sometimes you can get away with freehanding it. But that's kind of a personal preference on your part. And then as a last reminder, I think Peter says this in the book, if you need more space, obviously Windows work, I wish I had Windows to do that on. But I would reiterate, and I've used these for calendars up on the boards and stuff, you can get these from like big box stores. It's just basically shower surround or marker board. This 2 foot by 4 foot piece, I think cost me like $10 at my local big box store. And then to hold them up, I have found that the heavy duty 3M clips work just fine. I usually put 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. They get a little wobbly, but the kids usually have no problem with it. So if you need something in a pinch, that would also work. Hey, before we get going, make sure you like, subscribe, throw a comment down as you come across. But hopefully these tips will be very, very helpful for you. Make sure you check out some of the other videos. If you haven't subscribed, please do that, and I will see you later.